After 4 years of heartbreak, a shocking reunion revealed my daughter's hidden connection to my ex. Sarah Thompson stood in her quaint Midwestern kitchen, the subtle aroma of burnt toast wafting through the air as she absent-mindedly fumbled with the invitation lying on the counter. An art exhibition, a friendly reminder of her passion, one that felt more like a distant memory than a truth she had once embraced. But this wasn't just any exhibition. It showcased local talent, and to her bewilderment, one of the featured artists shared her daughter's name, Lily. The flicker of excitement was unexpected, and alongside it came a wave of trepidation that set her chest tightening. What if this artist was the spark her daughter needed, or what if it unraveled the fragile threads of their newly rebuilt life? After years of navigating the choppy waters of single motherhood and the remnants of a painful divorce, Sarah grappling with this new invitation felt like stepping onto a precarious cliff. She yearned to guide Lily through the world of creativity, to instill the values of love and belonging she fought for daily. But was she ready to face the memories tied to such a space? The specter of Jake loomed in her mind, colors of resentment and nostalgia swirling in her thoughts, threatening to engulf her resolve. Pushing away her doubts, she couldn't deny the growth she felt beneath those 4 years of hurt. Their divorce had torn her apart like a canvas ripped from its frame, but she had patched together her spirit, molding a new life for herself and Lily with devotion. Still, shadows loomed. If art was a connection to the past, would this show become one? Or would it ignite the latent desires Jake had once stirred in her heart? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With each brushstroke of thought, Sarah felt her resolve flutter. The unexpected twist of discovering Lily had been sharing a connection with Jake gnawed at her insides. What if her daughter had caught the same artistic spark Jake had? Or worse, what if their secret communications battered the very foundation she had labored to build? The deeper she dug into that question, the more she felt her heart race with unease. Tonight was the night, a daring plunge into the depths of the unknown. For her daughter, she would fight, but anxieties knotted her edges, whispering doubts that tangled around her like an unwelcome embrace. She would confront Jake, unveil forgotten wounds, and navigate the turbulent waters between her fierce love for Lily and the pipe dreams her past triggered. With the show ahead, every brush of anxiety stirred greater turmoil. The weight of choices lingered. She felt the fraying threads of what it meant to be both mother and protector. Lily's unintentional betrayal strained their relationship. And as Sarah prepared herself for the night's collision course with fate, she couldn't shake the gnawing fear that this reunion would be a catalyst for the ever-thickening rift between them. In an unexpected torrent of feelings, Sarah's immeasurable love for her daughter fought against the anguish of the past, a past that was rising back to the surface like fresh paint on an unfinished canvas. But would she drown or rally to find the strength to shield their union from the chaos being stirred? Time twisted, and as the anticipation settled in, her heart remained unsettled, knowing the night ahead held the potential for both reunion and ruination. The sunlight dipped beneath the horizon, casting a vibrant yet ominous glow into Sarah's living room as she donned her chosen outfit, a deep blue dress that had long lain inactive in her closet. It floated around her knees, a tangible reminder of the woman she had fought to reclaim. Yet, as she stared at her reflection in the mirror, subtle hints of anxiety crept back. Would this dress reflect the woman she had become, or would it echo the version of herself lost amidst the rubble of her marriage? Arriving at the exhibition felt like stepping into an electrified atmosphere, the rhythmic hum of chatter intertwined with the scattered laughter of art aficionados. A scene teeming with life that felt both foreign and enticing. Yet, despite the crowd's allure, Sarah's focus was singular, the possibility of encountering Jake looming over her with the weight of a storm. She felt the familiar flutter of her heart, mixing dread with a frisson of anticipation. Lily stood by her side, her young features alive with awe as she gazed at the assorted artworks, her fingers lightly brushing the frames. Sarah marveled at her daughter's capability to immerse herself so easily in creativity, a gift that Sarah once adored and envied. Watching Lily, a question began to nag at Sarah. Could she allow interest and passion to flourish in her daughter without the shadows of her past overshadowing it? Attempting to quell the cacophony in her mind, Sarah found herself gravitating toward an abstract piece. Its vivid colors clashed yet oddly complemented one another. As she stared into the artwork, she saw fissures of emotion, echoing her own struggles. The vibrant clashes of joy and despair intermingling freely, celebrating the beauty of complexity. Moments of silence wrapped around her thoughts, revealing a hidden tenacity she had once harnessed in her younger years. Art wasn't solely a reflection of life. It was a powerful medium for expression, a tool to navigate through one's own chaos. "Mom, look!" Lily exclaimed, breaking Sarah's reverie. Pointed at a captivating piece adorned with familiar brushstrokes, the signature at the corner sent a jolt through Sarah. It was Jake's. The realization unraveled her tightly woven composure, and she felt reality seep deeper into her veins. How had his work woven itself back into their lives so seamlessly? The clamor of conversation faded as she stepped closer to the painting, each detail a taunt and an invitation she felt unprepared to accept. She envisioned Jake standing nearby, a proud smile on his face, reminiscent of moments when they had dreamt together, back when art had been a shared passion, not a memory marred by betrayal. But this was not the time to succumb to ghosts. Amidst her simmering mix of vulnerability and resilience, Sarah felt a surge of empowerment, a fortitude hard-won through years of individual transformation. She would not merely sidestep past trauma, she would confront it if necessary. The roaring uncertainties curled within her thoughts, but so did a steadying resolve. As she turned to Lily, she saw an open expression of delight framed by an innocent enthusiasm for creativity. This was her chance, an opportunity to connect deeply with her daughter through the lens of art, even if it threatened to unearth buried memories. "Let's find out more about the artist," she said, the words flowing with a decisiveness that surprised even herself. With Lily's hand clasped firmly in hers, Sarah approached the artist's corner. Each step whispered of potential. Would they meet Jake? Could she successfully navigate this minefield of emotions for the sake of her daughter? Grit infected her determination, and as they neared the clamor of the crowd, an electrifying tension lingered. She had become a woman ready to carve her identity anew from the fragments around her. Yet little did she know that the reunion she had been both anticipating and dreading would arrive faster than expected, setting into motion consequences she could never foresee. What awaited her at the center of that gathering darkness? The vibrations of the crowd swelled, amplifying Sarah's heart rate as she slowly approached the artist's corner. Each step felt like a countdown to an inevitable confrontation, her resolve both fortifying and unnerving. She could see a small cluster of admirers gathered around a tall, lean figure with distinct silver-streaked hair, a familiar silhouette that evoked a rush of conflicting emotions. "Mom, is that him?" Lily's voice broke through the haze enveloping Sarah, the innocent curiosity of her daughter piercing through the tension like a beacon. There Jake stood, discussing his piece with palpable enthusiasm, the charisma that once drew Sarah to him still intact. She fought against the wave of nostalgia and discontent surging within her. This meeting could not derail her intentions. "Just breathe," Sarah whispered to herself, drawing on the mental strategies she had cultivated over the years, acknowledging feelings without letting them dictate her actions. With a steady resolve, she pulled Lily closer, ready to embrace whatever came next. As they approached, Jake turned, his vibrant blue eyes locking onto Sarah's, an unexpected bolt of awareness sparking between them. For a moment, the world surrounding them evaporated. It was just the two of them suspended in a chaotic yet familiar universe. He wore an expression of surprise, mixed with embarrassment. the remnants of their shared history evident in the unguarded moment. "Sarah," he exclaimed, a hint of hesitance in his voice. Her name hanging in the air felt like a ghost that refused to fade. She studied him, searching for traces of the man she once loved, the man who had shattered her trust. "I didn't expect to see you here. How have you been?" "Just fine," she said, the smoothness of her voice startling even her. "Lily and I wanted to explore the art. It's well done." The words came out clipped, but Sarah could feel her composure beginning to unravel beneath the surface. "Thank you," he said, a slight smile spreading across his face, yet it held both warmth and restraint. "This piece speaks to the struggles we face, doesn't it? It's taken me a lot to get back to where I am now." The implications hung heavily in the air, triggering questions she had meticulously buried. What did he mean by "back to where I am now"? Did he regret anything at all? A torrent of unresolved feelings crashed back into her. Was resilience truly enough to protect her from the turbulence of their past? Lily tugged on Sarah's hand, her youthful innocence shimmering with the curiosity of seeing her mother engage with this familiar stranger. "Mom, it's amazing. You should tell him what you think about it." Caught between her daughter's bright enthusiasm and the shadows of her past, Sarah felt a flicker of a realization. She had fought hard to reclaim her identity, and now that strength needed to be on full display. "It captures the chaotic beauty of emotions," she stated, projecting confidence. "Art not only shows us our pain, but also our capacity to work through it. It's an exploration of duality." "Exactly," Jake replied, his eagerness brightening as if he had rediscovered a connection. Art heals and transforms. In that moment of connection, Sarah hesitated. Vulnerability surfaced, unearthing buried talents. Could she navigate this conversation? Could her voice still resonate within this world they once shared? Instead of succumbing to doubt, she took a small breath, savoring the sweet bitterness of this dance between old and new. Lily turned to Sarah, eyes sparkling with admiration, but Sarah sensed the lingering shadows behind her daughter's gaze. As the realization sank in that Lily's excitement was complemented by something deeper, the stakes elevated. Questions unfurled within her like a chaotic palette. Was there more to Lily's fascination with Jake's art than met the eye? Navigating the emotional terrain would require strategy. She had faced worse before and emerged stronger. But now she stood on the brink of revealing truths that had the potential to either bind them closer or tear them apart entirely. The small gallery became a microcosm of her evolving journey, as Sarah found herself entrenched in new decisions that had the power to redefine her future. Was she ready to confront not just Jake, but the unspoken threads connecting him to Lily? A revelation that could forever alter everything they held dear. As the time suspended around them buzzed back into existence, Sarah sensed that the revelations ahead could shift the narrative she had carefully constructed. Would she find the resolve to explore those connections, or would the past prove too potent to overcome? With uncertainty still clinging to her, the immediate moment crackled with anticipation, echoing the silent promise of impending discovery. Rising above the din of the gallery, the weight of Sarah's decision pressed down on her chest. She could feel the pull of history anchoring her, urging her to retreat, while the thrill of self-rediscovery beckoned to her with equal intensity. Each second stretched into eternity as she stood at the precipice, evaluating the particulars of her choices. "You really think so?" Jake's tone dissolved the static in the air, drawing her back from her thoughts. "You see more than just colors and shapes." There was something genuine in his voice, sparking a flicker of pride within her. "Art does that, doesn't it?" she responded, trying to keep her voice steady. "It reflects what we sometimes can't express." She recognized the sentiment she shared in those words, a journey toward acceptance and reconciliation with their shared past. A light-hearted conversation flowed, building around art and connection, the underlying tension gradually receding as they discussed their perspectives, thoughts, and interpretations. The dialogue felt refreshing, but deep down, it dangled tantalizingly close to the chasm what once was. Lily's words floated through the space again. "What else do you make, Mr. Jake? Are you going to make more paintings? The simplicity of Lily's inquiry cut through adult complexities like a knife. It struck Sarah that her daughter, in her innocence, had yet to grasp the full weight of their familial history. But in that moment, Lily's admiration was also a commitment, an anchor into their shared memories that Sarah could not easily dismiss. "I have some ideas floating around," Jake replied, his gaze shifting from Lily back to Sarah. "I want to explore the notion of healing through art more. It's been an interesting journey." Sarah felt a storm gathering inside her. Each word brought to light the depth of their separation, not just physical, but emotional. Interesting. The gravity of his statement twisted as it bounced off the walls, reminding her of the fracture lines that still marred their relationship. "You've had your own healing journey. Have you found peace?" Jake's expression shifted, revealing a contemplative silence rather than a denial. The world around them dulled, while the truth of his gaze bore into hers. "I'm trying to." Those words hung between them, a tentative bridge amid the narrative of their shared disappointment. From the depths of her heart, Sarah questioned if retrieval was possible for them. Would it be wise to seek closure, or would it only reopen wounds? Reflecting on their conversation, nuances of their past crept back into view: the passion, betrayal, and ultimately the sorrow that had driven them apart. But now, before her, stood a complex tapestry woven from both pain and beauty. Sarah stole a glance at Lily, whose eyes sparkled with admiration for the man who was both an artist and a faded figure in Sarah's life. The realization struck her hard. Lily's connection to Jake was undeniable, weaving a strand she hadn't anticipated into the fabric of their lives. What did this mean for her daughter? Part of her wanted to shield Lily from the complexities that lay ahead, yet she knew that the misalignment wouldn't persist without dialogue. With the gallery buzzing around them, Sarah felt the need for a decision rising within her, to confront this intertwined past or retreat from it into safety. She glanced once more at Jake, catching his eyes filled with a mix of uncertainty and tenacity. As she steeled herself for the conversation ahead, the solidity of her self-advocacy pulsed through her. This was the moment she needed to crystallize her path forward. But what would she reveal to Lily, and how would Jake fit into the puzzle of their evolving world? "Listen, Jake," she started, grounding herself in the knowledge that every relationship could be a chance for growth. "There are truths here that we need to navigate for Lily's sake." As the anticipation heightened, Sarah realized the stakes had changed, no longer merely about her feelings, but the potential impact on the one person who mattered most. Could she find a way to constructively integrate Jake into their lives without subordinating her journey of moving on? The hum of the gallery faded around her, amplifying the reality that the moment she'd been building toward had finally arrived. The time has come for us all to face our truths. The room felt charged, her pulse quickening with the intensity of uncharted decisions. Would she embrace this confrontation with Jake, piecing together what had been lost, or would she withdraw, shielding her daughter from a potential upheaval? With emotions swirling like the art surrounding them, a new understanding settled over Sarah, a threshold waiting to be crossed, defined not just by reverberations of the past, but by the vibrant colors of what could be, positioning her at the brink of necessary revelation. Sarah took a deep breath, the air teeming with the sense of fresh paint mingled with a touch of anxiety. A moment suspended, the reality of her decision cascaded through her mind, the tangibility of consequences hanging in the atmosphere like an unfinished canvas. She had always prided herself on navigating life's complexities with resolve, yet here she stood, faced with the emotional labyrinth of her past. "Jake," she began, her voice steadying as she focused on the intent behind her words. "It's been too long since we've truly resolved anything between us." She watched as a flicker of understanding ignited in his eyes, perhaps mirroring the tumult within her own heart. "I know we left things unresolved," he replied slowly, a slope of sincerity lifting his features. "I never intended to hurt you." The weight of his acknowledgement acknowledged their shared history, yet it also prodded at her guarded heart, unraveling a mix of nostalgia and bitterness. "Intention doesn't always matter," Sarah retorted, a flicker of defensiveness creeping into her tone. She was reminded of countless moments where good intentions became hollow. She had built walls to protect herself and Lily, yet here she was, contemplating a breach that could fracture her carefully constructed routine. Jake nodded, processing her words. "You're right, I have to own that. But it feels different, doesn't it?" He gestured around them, hinting at the art that surrounded them, a collection of collective pain, anger, and ultimately healing. It did feel different. Sarah's skepticism battled with a burgeoning curiosity about how the threads of their lives might intertwine again. This was more than simply a conversation between them. It was about threading their past into the present while ensuring a secure future for Lily. "Look, I don't want to instigate any drama," she continued, strategically navigating through the prickly feelings stirred up by his presence. "But we need to establish what this means for her. Lily deserves clarity." She noticed the subtle shifts in Jake's posture, a fierce flicker of determination replacing his previously hesitant demeanor. "What if I want to be part of her life?" Jake challenged gently. The earnestness in his inquiry ignited a myriad of emotions within Sarah. It could mean inviting a surge of complications back into their lives. Could she trust him? Did she dare to risk Lily's serenity? Desiring to be a part of her life isn't the same as knowing how to be. Sarah felt anger tumble into the breach of her resolve, brewing from the past mistakes so vividly etched in her memory. "We can't repeat history, Jake. I need to know you're ready to commit to a healthier relationship, not just with me, but with your daughter." Their eyes locked, the air thick with the weight of unvoiced fears and possibilities. Sarah's heart raced as she felt a glimmer of hope joining the tension. What if they forged a path together that would redefine not only their lives, but more importantly, Lily's? "I want to try," he responded, the sincerity in his voice punctuated by a determination that surprised her. "Trying isn't enough anymore," she insisted, a wave of vulnerability creeping into her bravery. "We both need to be present, to understand that growth won't come without effort. It's not just about us. It's about ensuring Lily's world doesn't shatter again." In that moment, she saw the flicker of recognition pass through his expression, the understanding that their past would always leave shadows, but it didn't have to dictate their future. "I promise you, Sarah, I'm committed to this," he said earnestly. The question loomed large, hovering over her like unfinished artwork demanding resolution. Could she believe in him this time? Could they build a foundation rooted in trust, communication, and ultimately unconditional love for Lily? Before she could respond, a small voice broke through the tension. "Mom, what are you guys talking about?" Lily stood there, eyes wide with curiosity, blissfully unaware of the emotional undertones binding them. Sarah felt her heart lurch. Here it was, the crossroads of a revelation that could either bond them closer together or lead to greater turmoil. She glanced at Jake, who mirrored her moment of panic and possibility. As the stakes rose with Lily's innocent inquiry, Sarah felt the walls she had carefully built sway, as if the possibility of a new beginning could burgeon within the same space that once echoed with unresolved pain. Could they embrace this complex ecosystem of relationships and emotions? The thought sent a suffusing dread mixed with anticipation coursing through her. "Lily, we're just discussing us," Sarah said carefully, witnessing Jake's eyes widen with anxiety, mimicking her own apprehension. It was time to reveal something monumental, time to confront the uncertainty that lay before them, and challenge the very trajectory of their lives. The path ahead shimmered with both promise and peril, leaving Sarah poised on the brink of transformation. How would she shape this answer for her daughter? What would she choose to disclose? And more importantly, how would this influence their tightly woven tapestry moving forward? "Can I tell you something?" she began, recognizing this not just as a conversation, but as the first stroke on a canvas. The air thickened once more. Clarity awaited just beyond the horizon of this unfolding narrative. What vulnerability lay in that revelation? What truths still lingered, waiting to be uncovered? "Mom, what do you mean?" Lily asked, her small hands instinctively clutching at the hem of her shirt, oblivious to the gravity of the moment. Sarah hesitated, her mind racing through the potential consequences of her revelation. There was a delicate balance to maintain. Introducing Jake as a significant part of their futures could unravel the fabric of comfort she'd woven around Lily. Yet, there was a necessity in honesty, especially with her daughter. "Lily, this is Jake," Sarah said, gesturing towards him with a measured calmness, as if presenting a delicately balanced sculpture about to tip. "He's your father." The words hung in the air, dense and palpable. For a moment, the world narrowed to just the three of them, a microcosm tangled in uncharted emotions. The realization of the connection between them hit Sarah like a wave, one that could either crash around them or pull them to solid ground. Lily blinked slowly, her brow furrowing in confusion. "Daddy?" The way she said it, so innocent, so hopeful, pierced straight through Sarah's heart. Her daughter's longing for a father figure resonated even in this moment, urging Sarah to push for clarity. "Not just any daddy," Jake interjected gently, crouching down to Lily's level. "I've always loved you, even when I wasn't there, and I want to be a part of your life now." The mix of determination and apprehension flared in Sarah. Would Jake's declarations rise to the occasion, or would they lead to more broken promises? The furtive anxiety played on an endless loop inside her mind, each cycle tightening the knot of uncertainty in her stomach. "Why weren't you here then?" Lily asked. There was an innocence in her inquiry that cut through Sarah's protective barriers, each word tugging at Sarah's commitment to shield her daughter from disappointment. "I made mistakes," Jake confessed, his voice low, almost wavering. "But I've changed, Lily. I promise I want to be different." The sincerity in his declaration and the heat behind his gaze provoked a cascade of emotions in Sarah. The echoes of their past mistakes collided violently with the desire for a future that could hold so much potential. Could he truly be ready to step into this role? Taking a deep breath, Sarah attempted to reclaim the moment, for both her and Lily. "What happened between Jake and me is complex, sweetheart. It's important that we take steps to ensure our new relationship, his with you and ours, is built on honesty and trust." Lily's wide blue eyes searched Sarah's for reassurance. "So, am I going to see him more often?" Another tight gasp caught in Sarah's throat, caught between wanting to protect her daughter and embracing this chance for growth. "If that's what you want, sweetie, then we'll work together to make it happen." Lily lit up with a smile, radiant and trusting, representing a chance for simplicity amidst adult complexities. Suddenly, the gravity of what lay ahead pressed down like a heavy cloud, threatening to burst. "Mom, can we go for ice cream? I want to celebrate having a daddy." Lily's joy permeated the tension, her innocence drawing them both closer. Sarah's internal conflict simmered beneath the surface as she exchanged a loaded glance with Jake. Ice cream could wait, but this moment screamed for deeper exploration. "Sure, we can definitely do that," Sarah said, though her heart thudded painfully against her ribs. But as she turned, ready to guide Lily towards the door, she felt Jake's hand brush against her arm. "Sarah, wait. We need to talk about how we'll make this work." The request hung between them like the unfinished pieces of art adorning the walls around them, raw and teetering on the brink of transformation. "What does that even look like?" she asked, her voice underscored with both frustration and determination, the knot in her stomach tightening once again. "Let's set boundaries, communicate openly, and be honest about our feelings," Jake replied, the conviction in his tone hinting at a newfound resolve that Sarah had never witnessed in him before. "Boundaries might just be a start," she said slowly, yet hope began to unfurl cautiously within her chest. But taking responsibility is crucial. Jake nodded, his gaze steady. They lingered in that suspended moment, the tension between old wounds and new beginnings, both daunting and exhilarating. Behind her, Lily's oblivious excitement continued to echo. In that fragile space, Sarah felt the weight of the decision before her sharpen into clarity. Would she dare to embrace the possibility of healing and growth? Was she ready to reconstruct her relationship with Jake, not just for their sake, but for Lily's emerging future? Okay, she finally said, swallowing past the uncertainty. We'll talk this through, step by step, but we must ensure Lily's heart is never put at risk again. As they stepped out of the studio, a chill filled the air. Sarah sensed the winds of change swirling around them, bristling against her skin. The journey was far from over. As they walked together, a new breed of challenge loomed. Would the foundation they attempted to lay stand strong against the weight of their shared history? Would a friendship arise from the shadows of their past? Let's start with promises, she said softly, determined yet wary. What will you promise me, Jake? With that, Sarah felt the first crack of hope pierce through the fog of doubt. But it was clear. Every promise made now would be an anchor, or an anchor that could pull them all under. The moment hung between them, rife with potential, just waiting to spill forth. The ice cream shop was a cacophony of laughter and cheerful chatter, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of thoughts swirling in Sarah's mind. Sitting at a small table, she watched as Lily's eyes sparkled with joy, her small hands gripping the cone tightly as ice cream dripped down the sides. Sarah forced a smile, but underneath it all, a storm raged within her. "Mom, this is the best day ever!" Lily cheered, her cheeks smeared with a delicious mix of chocolate and vanilla. The innocence radiating from her reminded Sarah of her own disconnected childhood happiness, before the weight of adult worries stifled such simple joys. Jake sat across from them, a tentative smile plastered on his face, as though trying to soak in every happy moment. His eyes flickered to Sarah every now and then, searching for approval. It unnerved her. She was not ready to be a spectator in this new dynamic. Their shared past clung to her like a stubborn stain, and she needed clarity. "The ice cream is really good, isn't it?" Jake said, attempting to connect with Lily while stealing glances at Sarah, testing the waters. "Yep," Lily exclaimed, her mouth full, oblivious to the tension threading through the adult conversation. "Lily, how about we talk about what you'd like to do moving forward with Jake?" Sarah suggested, shifting the weight of the discussion onto their daughter. It was a calculated plan. Steering the conversation this way would give Sarah a chance to gauge both of their responses. "Can we have a play date?" Lily asked, her mouth full of ice cream. Hopeful, her face brightening. "I want to show him my dolls in my room. It's so cool." The sincerity in Lily's request brought a flutter of anxiety back within Sarah. Would her daughter's expectations set them up for a precarious fall? She didn't want to disrupt the fragile balance they were constructing. "Of course, honey, but it's important we make sure everyone understands what this means," Sarah replied, her voice steady and firm. "Yes," Jake interjected, a hint of eagerness breaking through. "I'd love to spend time with you, Lily, but the most important thing is that we take it slow, for you and for your mom, too." He directed the last part of his sentence at Sarah, his eyes earnest. A tight coil of uncertainty twisted in Sarah's stomach. "Slow is necessary," she remarked, meeting his gaze with a glare laced with caution. "We are not rushing into anything. Lily's happiness is my top priority." "I get it," Jake said softly, nodding, his demeanor more composed now. The sincerity behind his words clashed against the memories of what had been, sparking doubt. "I want to be a father, but I also want to build trust with you, Sarah." The room felt suffocating, the noise fading into a distant hum. This was a pivotal moment of truth. The past stood on one side, the potential for a future on the other. The word trust echoed, teasing at their shared wounds. Sarah's thoughts spiraled in different directions. Her carefully constructed world, just beginning to feel stable, could easily degenerate again with a single misstep. She had to assess Jake's character beyond the words, yet wanting to believe he had changed chipped away at her caution. Taking a deep breath, she decided to seize control of the situation. "Jake, we need to establish what our boundaries will be. How can you—" "Let's talk it out," he interrupted, gently but firmly. "We both want what's best for Lily, right? Communication should be our priority." The certainty behind his statement sparked a small flicker of hope. Perhaps Jake had genuinely evolved. Yet she couldn't shake the instinctual need to protect herself and that hopeful, unsuspecting little girl who delighted in chocolate ice cream. "Fine," she said, studying him closely. "Let's have that discussion soon, but it needs to be thorough. We cannot afford to disguise our past. It must be acknowledged to move forward." A new charge of energy pulsed between them, the mix of apprehension and possibility almost palpable. Could they really construct a new narrative from the wreckage of their past? And, more importantly, would they be able to navigate this budding relationship from Lambie the cat, Lily's stuffed animal, to deeper issues that lay beneath? Lily finished her ice cream and clapped her hands together. "Can we go to the park now?" she chirped, oblivious to the weight of negotiation that hung above her. Sarah exchanged glances with Jake, both surrendering momentarily to the child's enthusiasm. "Sure," she said, unable to deny Lily's radiant enthusiasm. Joy. As they made their way to the park, a vague sense of apprehension clawed at Sarah's insides. She wasn't yet ready to cultivate a picture-perfect family, but perhaps amid the uncertainty dwelt the seedings of progress. There were also fragments of unresolved resentment and mistrust. What would it take to stitch them back together? Would this blossoming opportunity give rise to healing or reignite past scars? And as Sarah approached the edge of trust, a familiar voice echoed in her mind, warning her of the tenseness that was surely to follow. The future loomed ahead, granting them a chance, but concealing unforeseen challenges. In this precarious dance of aspirations and fears, both Sarah and Jake would have to discover what it meant to truly step forward, or risk spiraling once again. As they strolled toward the park, Sarah's insides churned with a cocktail of hope and skepticism. The trees lined the pathway like vibrant sentinels, casting playful shadows on the ground. Nature seemed to celebrate the moment, while her mind grappled with deeper turmoil. With the lily skipping ahead, her laughter ringing like music, Sarah took Jake's hesitant hand firmly in hers. The park unfolded with endless possibilities, a world where simplicity reigned, unmarred by adult complexities. As they arrived, she scanned the playground, contemplating a balance between opportunity and trepidation. Lily darted off, immediately engrossed in making friends with other children. For that moment, Sarah's heart lightened, the innocence of play seemingly erasing clouds of doubt. "Can you believe how happy she is?" Jake said, a genuine smile breaking across his face. "It's like she's always been meant to be around family." Sarah's pulse quickened at the word family. Jake's desire was palpable, yet each gesture and word felt like an uncharted territory of emotion. The desire to protect Lily clamored louder than her own uncertainties. Their readiness for family dynamics required finesse, and her heart began evaluating if she could ever trust him again. "Family is complex," she responded carefully, monitoring her tone. "We both know that." Jake nodded, an echo of understanding flickering behind his eyes. "You're right, but I want to be there for both of you, especially Lily. I'm committed." His strength was compelling, but it unsettled her. Could commitment from him genuinely be any different this time around? Was she supposed to redefine their narrative, erasing the memories of shattered trust? The weight of their history hung heavily in the air. Lily called out to them, jumping into the sandbox, her face lighting up as she invited them to join her. "Come help me build a castle." She positioned the small buckets and shovels, urging them both to participate, as if their collective laughter could obliterate the past. As Sarah knelt in the sand, her fingers sifting through grains that formed into castles, she hesitated. Could she mold a new structure with Jake, just as they piled sand to construct Lily's dream palace? The notion danced in her mind, fumbling between the thrill of possibility and the anxiety wrapped around her heart. It was then that she recognized a truth. If she was to redirect their storyline, it would begin by regaining the agency she thought she'd lost. Jake, I think we need to talk through some of what happened between us. If we want to move forward, it can't just be about what you want or how happy Lily is. I understand, he said, glancing over to where Lily meticulously shaped her castle. There's so much we left unresolved. I've spent too long regretting actions I can't take back. Then let's keep it slow, as you suggested. But I need assurances that you're here for the right reasons, not just the appeal of being a father, she cautioned, leveling her gaze toward him. I won't shy away from that conversation, he said resolutely. I wish we could fast forward to the good days, but I respect your need for honesty. Her pulse settled slightly as the authenticity in his voice gave her a momentary respite. Perhaps Jake was willing to take those necessary steps alongside her, yet she grappled with self-doubt. How would she discern real change? How could she trust him to take her heart, which still bore scars from their past? Their laughter fused with the background chatter, weaving into the fabric of parental connection, and for a brief moment it felt possible to forge ahead. But the edginess nestled in her chest remained tenacious. The specter of their shared history lingered. She would need more than words. She required proof, a tangible transformation solidified through actions. As they returned to the castle, she felt the budding determination emerge. She would honor her own feelings while challenging Jake to prove his sincerity. Let's set a day to talk through the possibilities, she suggested as they stood, brushing sand from their hands. We need a structure built from both of our truths. Jake's gaze was steady. Absolutely. As they approached Lily, who was proudly showing off her creation to the nearby children, a deeper resolve anchored within Sarah. This was only the beginning of assessing their choices, both for her and for their daughter, who radiated pure joy. The next step demanded vulnerability from both of them, but there was a shadow lurking too, one that whispered uncertainties about Jake's hidden motives, and the real test for Sarah loomed closer. How could she unveil the real relationship at play without losing herself again? Would they unearth hidden challenges yet to be revealed? The path to a new foundation was winding, and soon she would have to confront truths beyond just what lay within their interaction. The following days blurred into each other as Sarah settled into a tentative routine with Jake and Lily. Each morning felt both fresh and weighed down by the echoes of their past. Though they managed laughter and playful exchanges, deeper conversations still loomed overhead like dark clouds, threatening rain. She found herself increasingly fixated on the upcoming talk, her mind spiraling with possibilities and anxiety. At the office, Sarah's focus wavered. Tasks that once felt manageable now seemed muddled and complicated. Her coworkers noticed. "You seem off your game," Lisa commented while flipping through documents. "Everything okay?" "Just personal stuff," Sarah replied, her voice tightening. She felt the instinct to retreat, to not reveal the tangled mess challenging her heart. Yet a clarity emerged alongside the chaos. The decision to address her feelings about Jake wasn't just about reconciling with him, it was a pivotal moment for herself. She craved authenticity, not just the semblance of completeness. Each day spent analyzing this situation revealed something significant, the need for self-advocacy. Later that evening, Sarah sat with a pen poised over paper, attempting to articulate her thoughts for the upcoming conversation. A swirling mix of protectiveness for Lily and the desire to confront her own fears washed over her. What if she discovered that Jake's commitment wasn't true? What if she could not express her doubts without succumbing to vulnerability? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an orange hue that merged with soft blues, she felt her resolve harden. She wouldn't allow herself to slip into a pattern of silence, a passive acceptance of anything less than what she deserved. It became essential to voice her expectations, irrespective of how uncomfortable it might feel. Lily bounded into the room, her little hands clutching colorful drawings. "Mommy, look, I made a picture of us." She proudly dangled a crayon-scrawled masterpiece decorated with bright colors and stick figures resembling her family. The depiction, innocent and unfiltered, flooded Sarah with warmth and sadness simultaneously. "Wow, Lily, it's so beautiful," Sarah replied, pulling her daughter in for a fierce hug. Within that embrace, doubts about the situation flooded her mind. Lena saw a family, but what did she see? Jake entered at that moment, watching the poignant exchange with an expression that highlighted both tenderness and hidden scrutiny. Approaching them, he knelt down at Lily's side. "That's amazing. Are those princess crowns?" he asked, engaging her in conversation. Sarah felt her heart thump. The juxtaposition of their past weighed against the present and the impending plunge into vulnerability. "Tomorrow my favorite princesses are coming to play," Lily exclaimed, oblivious to the tension thickening the air. Jake's eyes flickered to Sarah, a silent communication igniting a mixture of anticipation and dread. The moment felt pivotal, laden with promises and trepidations. Would Jake be ready to confront the raw reality of them? What if he couldn't grasp the weight of her expectations? "Actually, Jake, can we talk later after we put Lily to bed?" Sarah interjected, her voice steadier than her heart felt. She wanted to seize control of the narrative. The moment was ripe for clarity. "Sure," Jake nodded, his expression shifting from curiosity to seriousness. "I'm here, and I want to hear what's on your mind." The evening shifted, shadows creeping across their rooms, highlighting the silence that now bore down even heavier. As Lily dozed off, cradled in the innocence of dreams, Sarah felt her resolve coalesce. She was ready to confront the layers shrouded in their relationship, the complexities that demanded attention. Once the door closed softly behind her, Sarah squared her shoulders, the contours of her decision clear in her mind. She would not only voice her expectations, she would probe for truth, peel away any lingering doubts that had caused her pain. As the weight of either resolution or further complication loomed, she steeled herself. The open dialogue could lead to genuine transformation or expose the cracks in Jake's assurances. What lay ahead was unknown. "What if he cannot embrace the reality of our conversation?" she pondered, feeling the creeping terror slip in. With that single thought, she steeled herself for the confrontation over dinner. The time had come to face not just Jake, but the specter of fear that accompanied reopening their fractured past. Was she about to shape a future with honesty, or was she about to face a deeper betrayal? The clock ticked ominously, counting down the seconds to their decisive moment. Sarah sat across from Jake at the small dining table, the warm glow of the lamp casting shadows that flickered like the memories haunting them. Tonight was different. Tonight, she would forge a path forward, one built solidly on communication, honesty, and unequivocal commitment. She felt a sense of profound clarity rising from deep within her, directly tied to the delicate situation that had unfolded over the past weeks. "Thank you for being willing to talk tonight," she began, her voice steady yet swirling with purpose. With every word, she unraveled the caution that had surrounded her heart for so long. "I want to ensure that we're on the same page about what this means for us and for Lily," she continued, her gaze fierce as it settled on Jake. The past echoed in her mind, shadowed by deception, and as she spoke, she allowed those memories to weave their way into this conversation, not as burdens, but as lessons that could guide them to a better future. "I know we've made strides in reconnecting, but I can't afford to let any uncertainty linger. We owe it to Lily to be completely transparent." Jake nodded, expression serious. "I completely understand, and I'm here for it. You deserve that honesty. I want to show you that I'm committed to being a true father to Lily and to you as well." Each word came out charged with sincerity, a grain of hope digging into the foundations of her guarded heart. Yet she needed more than platitudes. She required assurance, something concrete that she could hold on to as they ventured into these uncharted territories. "What does commitment look like for you?" Sarah pressed, narrowing her gaze. "Words can be empty. I need you to demonstrate to me that you're ready to rebuild trust." Jake looked genuinely contemplative, his gaze shifting as if he were trying to reveal a hidden truth buried beneath the surface. "I want us to have regular conversations, to establish boundaries that highlight our priorities. With Lily involved, that means allowing her to flourish while we work through our complexities together. You should never feel like I'm a risk to your peace." Sarah could feel the tension subside. A semblance of hope nodded with anxiety. Yet trust could not be earned overnight. "What I need is for you to show up, every step of the way, to be someone who Lily can depend on. I want her to have the relationship with you that she deserves, but your promises must be backed by actions, actions that display accountability." A sharp silence fell over them, the weight of her request settling into the fabric of the room, becoming an unspoken challenge that invigorated the air. "Sarah, I promise you I'm ready to invest in this, not just financially or physically, but emotionally too. I want to be a father I can be proud of." His voice was firm, holding a thread of conviction that reverberated in the silence of the room. "I've recognized my shortcomings. I've seen what my absence has done. I'm committed to making our relationships, yours and Lily's, my priority." As the moment stretched, Sarah felt a spark of determination rally within her. She was realizing her own strength in this process, finding solidity in vulnerability. She needed to be at the helm, guiding their ship through stormy waters, not as a lone passenger, but as a captain steering towards an unbreakable future. Trustworthiness was a two-way street, and if Jake was willing to embrace this new direction, then so would she. "Work with me then. Let's establish a framework where we can communicate openly. I don't want our conversations to end up tangled in misunderstandings. I want to believe that honoring our daughter's needs will be at the forefront of every decision we make together," she said earnestly. Jake's agreement felt like an anchor, his sincerity palpable as he met her gaze. "We'll do it together, each step as partners. I won't make promises I can't keep, but you have my word to work towards what's right." The recognition between them, forged from years of separation and pain, began shaping itself into unbreakable threads. Sarah felt that with every word exchanged, they were weaving their stories into one again, layer by layer, with a determination building within her that took root in her need for adequate assurance. As their conversation waned into softer exchanges, punctuated by laughter and understanding, a healing bond began to form. Sarah felt a resoluteness grow deeper within her. She could regard their past as a launching pad for a future uniquely their own, one built on solid foundations of respect, open dialogue, and mutual affection. This evening marked the rebirth of something powerful, a symbiotic partnership defined by both of their efforts. The gears of trust began spinning. She could see a light emerging amidst potential shadows, a confident clarity beginning to outshine the remnants of previous heartaches. The path forward was still strewn with complexity, but together they would confront each challenge that awaited them, evolving as they paved the way for a healthier family dynamic. Feeling lighter than she had in years, Sarah knew this was not just an accomplishment, it was an unequivocal achievement of personal growth. She was no longer merely reactive, she was proactive, willing to shape her future here and now. "Let's celebrate that commitment," she suggested, a smile pressing through the tension, curious excitement bubbling just beneath her skin. "I'm all in," Jake replied, leaning in as the warmth of their growing connection flickered audibly across the table. Together, they would triumph over lingering uncertainties, evolving past betrayals into something richer, a partnership, a reconstruction, and ultimately a nurturing environment for their daughter. Thus felt the dawning of a new chapter, ripe with promise and potential, eagerly waiting to unfold. Now, let's take this empowering journey together further. You need to subscribe now to witness the unfolding of these extraordinary stories. Leave a like now to support the algorithm and spread hope. Comment your reactions and thoughts about how they navigate this transition. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this message about transformation and rebuilding lives.